Hey guys, and welcome back to Become a God. This episode, I was going to do another mono blue deck, but I don't feel it's quite ready yet. I still want to work on it a little bit. But the main reason I changed is because a deck from Donpork caught my eye from the recent Ruunin Open. And this is a green-red Yakkapult Swarm deck. Now, I looked at this list and straight away I was just like, this list looks very cool. I need to try it out. So I played a few games. I'm kind of still figuring out the deck myself. So I'm not going to be able to give you some huge insight in how the deck's played, but hopefully we can learn something together. So if you have any comments about my play or maybe things I could do differently, by all means be sure to leave them there so I get an idea of how to pilot this deck and learn it along with you guys. So let's take this deck onto the ladder and see how it performs. Alright guys, into our first match. I actually really like this hand. I can go Ruunin Reveler, Forest, play Cheeky Caretaker to buff it up, and then build towards this Salamander. So I'm going to try this hand out, and like I said in the introduction, I'm still learning this deck. I don't understand it completely yet. I'm still figuring out land development. I've been actually personally playing it down one side. So I've gone down one side, and then I've decided, like, at some point when I pick up that Yakkapult, I'll just stick a land in front of my orb, and then I can start chipping away at my opponent. Is this going to be Smorg? No. It's going to be an axe grinder. Okay, so yeah. I think there could be a reason to spread off both sides, and then just kind of turtle around here until you get a Yakkapult. But I haven't tried that strategy yet personally. So yeah, I still have things to figure out. So I'm just going to play this as I've been playing it in my other games. Just going down one side, and we're going to see how that does over the next couple of matches. And then if it starts to fail me, I can always try going down two sides of my orb and kind of protecting myself. A bit like how Green-Yellow Sacrifice does. It might be played in that style. I still have, like I said, things to figure out. So for this turn, very easy play. This is what we were setting up for before with the mulligan. We decided that we're going to keep the Reveler, keep the Tiki, go for this line here, and then line up for the Salamander on the follow-up. Now, what's pretty nice about this is this directly challenges the Axe Grinder. However, still vulnerable to all that removal that red has access to. Bomb Slinger being pretty good here, but then Bomb Slinger dies very easily to the Tiki Caretaker. So there's kind of pros and cons to the Bomb Slinger. The best line would probably be just like Ground Shaker Flame Burst or something like that. But yeah, it's actually gonna just be a Brute coming down. Now I can't Grappling Hook yet, unfortunately. I might just go for a land here and do a mega buff on my Salamander. I could alternatively, I could move up, take a mountain, and then play Salamander, and then kill the Brute. My only issue with that is the Salamander's then very vulnerable to the Axe Grinder, like a Ground Shaker follow-up. A 4 damage plus 1 with the Ground Shaker would clear this out, but clear out the Brute before it starts getting gifted steals is probably a good idea. So let's commit to that line. I need to do it this way because I need to do 2 damage. It's a little unfortunate. I'd like to get more power-ups. But I'm hoping on the follow-up I can maybe line up a pretty good defensive Salamander. So I could maybe like double collect here, move this Tiki up, then Salamander all 3 of them, and go from there. It very much depends what happens next, I guess. This could just get Flame Bursted. Like I said, Ground Shaker's pretty strong follow-up, actually, because it kills my Tiki Caretaker and also kills my Salamander in combination with the Axe Grinder. It looks like an Underground Brigand showing up here. Huh. So what's going to happen with this Brigand? Because there's still the option to collect and Ground Shaker. But it looks like Axe Grinder's just going to go in here. Okay, that's pretty cool. I can get on board with that. We have a pretty good salamander, actually. So we could double neutral across. We could move the tiki here. We could move the salamander here. Go for the salamander. We don't deal any damage to the brigand, but we then use the tiki to finish it off. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then pushing double neutrals across here allows us to develop aggressively on this land, giving us you know, an avenue of aggression with stuff like ground shakers, maybe even Cypher. Worst case scenario is we can just like double neutral around and lock our opponent out. So this looks very, very good. Get a massive salamander play off. I've come to really love this card. I remember when Oversky came out, I was looking at this card, I thought this is really cool, but very expensive. And I didn't like this card because Crackthorn was just so dominant in the meta before the Oversky was released. It was very hard to judge how powerful this card would be because Crackthorn was just stealing all the spotlight. But it's fantastic, you know, it's been so good in recent times, and I'm really happy with how this card has progressed. It's definitely found its home in many decks, from tricolor decks to green-red decks. So it's very diverse card in that respect, and this is just beautiful. Get to move this into an aggressive position. We can move this up. We can move this up. We'll move this up here to cover this, and then we'll just go for a ground shaker, but no need as the win comes down, and it is simply because, you know, that those salamanders swung the board so much in my favor. To be fair, the grappling hook was kind of the icing on the cake there, but yeah, a very strong performance for game number 1 from this deck. Let's get into another. Alright guys, into our next match, playing against Gelgoog. So this is going to be a tough game. Gelgoog, very talented player. And we decided, I decided to keep the Deepwood Stalker. This card is absolutely fantastic against, say, like Recurring Revelers, Spring Mochis. If I'm going against Yellow Rush, it's really good as well, because it can kill those haste creatures and live to tell the tale. Now, for me, actually, I'd rather play against Yellow Rush than Red Rush with my current hand. I have a Deepwood Stalker, so like I said, I can just chip off a haster, but I also have this Living Willow. Now, if I'm going against Red Rush, it's not too bad either, because I do have Elden Embrace. I do have ways to power up my guys, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we're just gonna get this cheeky Willow down. And just relax for a little bit, see what happens next. 9 Faeria to work with for a Rush player is usually pretty terrifying at this point. Probably see some form of Wrangler combo maybe. Or maybe just a Shaitan Demon. So just gonna get the Demon down and go from there. I'm going to take Explore here. Get this guy up. Take a Mountain. I guess I'm going to pass. I played the Choking Sands here, which is a little unfortunate. But if this does live and it doesn't get Choking Sands, I have a really good follow-up play. I have the hit from the Willow with a Ground Shaker to finish this off. And I'd be pretty happy with that. I feel that puts me quite far ahead if I can get this to go off. Sometimes you just have to make a line, which is a bit of a risk. I feel this line is incredibly risky because I'm playing into hard removal. But if I don't get removed, I feel like the payoff is really good for me. It's like absolutely fantastic. Because even if this dies, I still get to Ground Shaker and finish off the Demon. And this is going to put a very strong creature on board at 5/6. It's pretty fantastic. We're just going to see Demon Wrangler here. Yeah, this is lining up really nicely for me. I get to kill a lot here. It's a shame I can't Deepwood Stalker as well, but can't have it all. I can still Ground Shaker here, and then I can like move. I can just stick around here and just finish this off. Putting this on 1 life, so it's pretty vulnerable, but I have my other Willow, so finding both my Willows in a Yellow Rush matchup is pretty fantastic. And one thing Donpork actually said in the preview for this deck on the hub was this deck does very well against rush decks. It has a lot of small creatures, it has removal, it taunts, the Blazing Salamander combos can be pretty devastating in the right situation. So I can understand why Donpork believes that, because it's definitely got the options in handling Yellow Rush, and maybe even Red Rush as well, if you can snowball those power-ups and make it very difficult for your opponent to stop these big Willows and these big Ground Shakers. The Ground Shaker with an Elden Embrace is pretty menacing, I would say. 7-10. Very strong. Might just be a Flash Salmon, I guess. Oh, Crystal Flower. So Crystal Flower comes down. Oh, I really like this play. Okay, we go for the Tiki Caretaker Willow line. So we're basically setting up a very similar situation we had at the start of the game, which was in the center of the board. We had a demon, we had a free attack Willow, and now we're in the same he's in the same predicament, and I'm preserving my life and making it very difficult to get these monks off and stuff to start cycling. So starving your opponent of resources, especially against Yellow Rush, is very good. And one way you can do that is by stopping your opponent hitting your orb, which this deck is very good at doing. So if I draw the Willows and I drew both of them, so it's pretty lucky for me. But overall, it's a strategy I want to lean into now and just make life very difficult for my opponent. Goes for the hit. Might pass. I'm not sure. I don't know if you pass here, because now my Tiki just kills this. But I'm just going to double collect, probably. Well, yeah, I'd collect here and then I kill this one. Because I'm not going to be able to afford the Ground Shaker, unfortunately. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that the Ground Shaker isn't an option, because I would love to finish this off. So yeah, I think we just do this. I think I can collect. I think collecting's fine. I don't think I can avoid an attack going to my orb. I mean, I could sit here, right, and the demon's going to kill it, but we're probably going to see a haster as the follow-up. So if I collect, the demon has to move over here. And I line up a Ground Shaker turn. I do preserve some resources for the follow-up turn, and I think that's probably what I want to get going. I might even just +1 at this point, but then again, I do have a Yakkapult, so maybe I just continue to build lands. We can stick one here, actually. So we're forcing all the action to come down these two paths here. Well, here, here, and here. But Desert comes there. I mean, or here, the Wind Soldiers can come in, but it's not enough for the Origin Fanatics or the Monks. No, sorry, Origin the Monks and the followers, sorry, to make an attack. Now this demon looks like it's lining up for a hit to my orb, which means there may be like double soul drain here. I'm not sure. Maybe this is the only... Maybe moving here was good and just stopping that prayer. But I feel like I'm in a very good position. So it does depend on the follow-up to this. This is the first orb hit I've taken. And like I said, I'm just trying to gear up towards that Ground Shaker play. But if I draw another power-up, if I draw like an Elden Embrace, it's even better because I get to preserve my taunt. What's this? This is a Air Elemental. Okay, really just locking me in here. Ooh. Blazing Salamander, you beauty. Ah, man, if only I could get better positioning on this. How do I do it? Because I want to kill this guy and I want to kill this guy. Maybe I just Blazing Salamander +1 into Deepwood Stalker. That seems really good here. I kill both of these and I keep my taunt. And I get this guy on the board. Pretty good. Pretty good. I like it a lot. And this is a really awkward position for my Salamander to be in because it's blocking these Wind Soldier paths. And then my Willow is just soaking up these deserts as a taunt. And you can see the Wingate coming down here as a way to maneuver around the blockers I have. Just to get this prayer off. I mean, that works just fine for me, to be honest. My opponent's starved, a Faeria. I'm in a fantastic position. I'm able to continue taunting. I can take a cheeky hit here, collect. I'm actually going to take a land. Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take the collection. We'll take a land. So we'll take a mountain because we do need a mountain for Cypher. Let's get this Yakkapult going. I have to leave the Willow here. So we can kill the Wingate next turn. This is going to crack open. It's not in a very good position, unfortunately. But I can just move it down to defend while my Yakkapult starts to chip away at my opponent's life. And then, you know, power-ups also become very good as well. This is like the danger zone. I don't feel that anything that isn't a haste creature can stick around in this region. Like, we could see just a pass here. It's absolutely fine. So like I said, I'm just going to shimmy this down. I'm going to kill this. So we're covering 2 deserts. We have a taunt creature here. So I'm happy to actually collect now. We'll go for some lands. I want to set up an aggressive creature at some point. We could go double neutral mountain, so we're gonna have to make a lot of land. So let's just do this. So the haste creatures cannot come this way because the Willows sit in here. A haste creature can still move out this way, but has to navigate around the Yakkapult. Also these creatures as well. So the only realistic path for my opponent to take at the moment is here. And that is after removing the Willow. So using, say, double Soul Drain, maybe a Wind Soldier Soul Drain, just a Crystal Flower, to get this Willow out the way so he can continue to push some damage on me. Crystal Flower, the Yakkapult? No, going for the Ground Shaker, actually, to get a Wind Soldier down. Okay. Hits my face. Maybe a sack here. Maybe we'll see a Demon Wrangler. We're going to tighten up our defenses next turn. That's what I'm thinking about right now. Tighten up the defenses, get a nice wall of creatures around me, and then go for an aggressive Ground Shaker, perhaps. So I can move this in, and then like creature here to stop any Wingate plays. Yeah, I like that. So we can just hit this anyway. We actually, we could double neutral because it's an adjacent tile. So this, I could have a Yak spawn on this side, but the positioning's a bit awkward, and I do want to get this Ground Shaker down. So let's go for the Ground Shaker. We'll move this in. We'll move this in. We're going to go for a Bone Collector on this side. Hit this. And then there we have it. So we have Lethal now with the Ground Shaker in hand. So we're just building enough defenses to make it very difficult for my opponent to stop this. Now, if this is a Ground Shaker, right? So yeah, we've even got our Ground Shaker in here. It's going to be very difficult for Yellow Rush to win this one. Choking Sands? Soul Drain? Soul Drain? Still lethal. Between the 2 Ground Shakers and the Yak. Yeah, so. And there we have it. So 2-0 so far. This deck is really cool. I really like it. Having a lot of fun playing it. And like Donpork did say that this deck does very well against Rush. And I think that was evident here. We had a fantastic game. I know we had both our Willows. Very lucky against Yellow Rush, but things look great in that match. Let's get into another one. Alright guys, another match. We have a run back here against, I believe, our first opponent. Happy to keep the Willow. Actually, I think I'm just going to throw everything. I'd rather find a Bone Collector or a Cohen Reveler. And there we have it. The one beautiful thing about this deck is it has 6 turn 1 plays in the deck with the Cohen Revelers and the Bone Collectors. Hello to you. So we can actually just start applying pressure down the side like we have been. It's worked out pretty well so far. It sets, I think, contesting your opponent down the one side opens up more salamander opportunities. And getting a land here seems pretty good to me as well, because this gives you a lot of ways you can hit targets with that salamander. And speak of the devil, here he is, salamander coming out to play. I might just move this up as a bit of a debate. just kind of saying to my opponent, I have a power up, or I have removal, I have enough to kill the wood elemental. But no fear, wood elemental's just going to go in. Maybe we'll see a power up on the wood elemental. No, it's just going to be a deep wood stalker to munch up my Reveler. Very good answer to the Reveler in the deep wood stalker. Huh, okay. Like I said, I would want this spot. I do like it, but do I? My opponent then moves and takes this spot. I'll probably just takes a land here. Yeah, let's just stick this down, and then we're gonna line up a Garadan next turn with a Deepwood Stalker. That's the plan. We can even take Garadan on a more aggressive tile. We could go here with Garadan so it can move up and hit. Alternatively, I can play a mountain here, set up that Yakkapult land, and then start double collecting around. It's going to be Eridan. It moves up. Okay. So I still like the Garadan line. I just need to decide where I want Garadan to go. Here it seems pretty good. My opponent doesn't have much Faeria to work with next turn. I can just start hitting for 6. I don't think I want to play this game out as that much because of frog tosses and stuff that's going to come down next turn. So if I can get Garadan in a more aggressive position, that's really good. If I want to play a longer game, I could play Garadan here and then start collecting around this way. But like I said, I'm gonna be a bit more forceful, and yeah, we'll just start getting in now. We're clearing the board, putting 2 creatures down. My opponent goes into the next turn on 5 Faeria. This is a great frog tosser opportunity. I could just frog tosser in front of the Garadan, and then we could see the little frog maybe spawn. But this is the thing, like, if a frog tosser does come down as an answer to the spider, depending on the positioning, I could get a really good salamander off. So I'm hoping I'm given that luxury. Just a frogify. Just a little frogify here. That's fine. I'm gonna continue to play aggressive. I'm gonna move this into double collection. And I'm just gonna elder with this guy, and yep, we'll go in. Wait, it didn't go off then. So this plays around Frog Tosser. This doesn't die to Frog Tosser now. This dies to Frog Tosser, but like I said, depending on the positioning of the Frog Tosser, I can have a great Salamander follow-up. And next time I get Yakkapult, which is really good. Or I can take an aggressive land into a Ground Shaker, depending on if this Deepwood Stalker survives. So it goes for +1 into just a Yakkapult. Pretty interesting. So I get to collect. Yeah, I feel it's time to go for a Salamander. We can go for a Salamander and just clear the Yakkapult. Get an aggressive mountain down for this Ground Shaker on the follow-up. And just take this out. And we're still out of Frog Tosser range, which is excellent. So this Garadan has almost gained the size of the its previous form. Even though it's a frog, it still has the power of a dragon. Oh, the Eridan power up. It's pretty good, but I still have fantastic board control going forward. So I still feel like I'm in a pretty good position because I can just continue to apply pressure and just try to outvalue my opponent in the resource game. I don't need to draw cards. I have great answers in hand. And I think this is just game. I don't really see how my opponent comes back. Maybe another Frog Tosser. Another Frog Tosser is pretty good, but the Frog Tossers are very defensive. Which is the problem, I think. So yeah, we could actually just double neutral here. Go for the Deepwood Stalker into the Gift of Krakoa. Just taking board control. Just my blue-green relies so much on Faeria. All decks really do, but the thing with blue-green is their reactive cards are expensive in lands, and without Faeria, it's very difficult for blue-green to get any momentum back. Because Frogify is soft removal, I still get the frog. You can see, like, Frogify came down on the Garadan, but ultimately it didn't really make that much difference. It still went in, and it was still a big problem. So a 4-6 and Eldo Embrace just being an absolute dream here. We could actually take a draw. I quite like a draw. Well, let's see what else we get. Blazing Salamander. It's not a big deal. We can just do this. To the Yakkapult. And there we have it. Another victory. 3-0 so far with this deck. Fantastic build from Donpork. Let's just keep going. Let's see if I can get a 5-0. Every time I say this, I lose. Why do I do this to myself? Let's just get into our next game and see how it goes. Into our next match. Pretty good hand. Actually, we have Bone Collector turn 1. We have Eldon Embrace to go on the Bone Collector. I think I might just throw the Tiki here. Yeah, Yakkapult. That's a little unfortunate, but I like this hand. This is really good, especially if we're going against red. We'll see what our opponent gets up to with their first land. It's going to be a desert. Okay, so a little worse in some respects, but you know, I didn't get punished by Choking Sands before. I'm not sure if I'll get punished by it right now. Very much depends on the deck. Go for an end turn. And, you know, Bone Collector, fantastic opener for us. Lets us start harvesting Faeria early. And with this Elderwood Embrace, it actually becomes a pretty strong threat. You know, a 3-7, whenever a creature dies next to it, gains +1/+1. And if you know Bone Collectors, they can snowball out of control very quickly if they're not checked. Now, some of the interesting things about this build for me are the choices not to include some of the more popular red cards in the game. We don't see any Flame Bursts in this build. We don't see any Cypher's Wrath. Now, Deepwood Stalker could be the supplement for Cypher's Wrath. Both deal 2 damage, but with Deepwood Stalker, you get a creature on board if it lives, which is very handy, especially if you decide that you want... if you want to play a Gift of Krakoa and swarm the board. Flame Burst, on the other hand, is very powerful. Probably, I would say, controversial opinion, the best card in the game. I don't see how any card is better than Flame Burst. Flame Burst is just incredible. Again, didn't decide to include it in this build. Maybe just tight on space. But perhaps that's where the Salamanders come in as an alternative form of removal. And this deck very much focuses on getting a lot of creatures down on board, which is where the name comes from on the hub. It was called a flood deck, so that's what flood decks generally want to do. I'm very interested in how I can proceed here. I could bring the Reveler down and then maybe Elderwood it. I'd have to move back. I want to line up a good Salamander. So maybe go in between the wells. I think that might be just a little bit better. And then I can Elderwood this. Just to play around a mobility trick. I'd rather keep my Bone Collector alive. And if this is at the cost of getting Choking Sands, then so be it. But I do want to keep this alive. This is probably going to be one of my sturdier creatures going into this match, especially against yellow, who have access to hard removal like Last Nightmare and Choking Sands, which can deal with my creatures. This just gets soul drain, for example, so Reveler isn't a card that's going to stick around very long, and that's why I'm hoping I can get a good Salamander off next turn. Because if this comes into collect, I could potentially... See, the lands are a bit awkward. I would love to be able to play 2 lands, so I can move this. I could, like, move this, and Salamander here, power up both of these, clear out the Manta Rider, then clear out the Manta. But I don't think that's going to happen. So we'll have to... I don't have the land to do it, and I don't have any land ramp in this deck, so we'll have to see what our opponent gets up to. Double neutrals from a flying deck. Very interesting. I guess it's because my opponent wants to develop aggressive creatures on this land. Make this a desert. Okay. Manta Rider coming in. Say hello. Last Nightmare. Is that a Flashwind? And a Flashwind follow-up. Pretty devastating. Now, I could make a little bit of a comeback if I picked up a creature I could play to go with a Salamander. Unfortunately, this doesn't quite cut it. I might just have to do it. Take the 0 value Salamander here. I can play it on this spot. Maybe I just do into double collection. My choice for the Salamander's positioning comes down to, do I want to set up a double collector, or do I want to stop the Manta from pushing past here and developing an aggressive land? I think my Faeria is okay, so I feel like I'm in a position where I can be a bit more flexible, a bit more defensive in my position of the Emerald Salamander. He says, we're going to go for this, so we're going to see what happens. This could get Choking Sands, which would be really sad. Maybe the Manta just goes right up here, and I'm fine with that. Just get out of my back garden. This is where I live. You live over this side. Double collection. Move here, Desert Wind Soldier clear is pretty strong. But I can follow up with a Ground Shaker. And Ground Shaker could get Nightmared. Nightmared my Bone Collector in the end. It did work out pretty well because the Flashwind play complemented that so nicely, but it was still 6 Faeria for 5 Faeria worth of creature. It was 2 cards. It kind of levels out a little bit, but that's the last Nightmare not going down on my Ground Shaker, hopefully. Is this going to run away from me? Thought so. Deepwood Stalker, pretty good here. Another Manta Rider would be brutal. Another Manta Rider. I have to deal with another one of these guys. Sad times. Okay, so we want to get to the Yakkapult. That's the game plan. So I feel that we continue to build lands. Then we can go for the Ground Shaker in this position. So we're just out of reach of this Manta now. Another mobility trick will be required in order to at least deal with this stuff. And then if the Manta Rider decided to kill my Emerald Salamander, it's going to lose its body as well. It's just going to become a 2/2 after. So I feel like we're doing okay. I don't know. I need something to swing in my favor. I need a good Salamander play to be able to snowball back into control of the match. I feel like my opponent is definitely winning right now. It has collecting off free wells. A lot of Faeria going into this round already. Hasn't even collected off this well yet. But this moves back, and then Yakkapult can come down. And depending on what the Manta Rider does, like if the Manta Rider decides to fight me over here, this Yakkapult could be quite safe. But it looks like the Manta Rider is actually looking to retreat. Doesn't have an answer quite now. Oh, this is a good positional play, actually. Another Manta Rider, come on. No more Manta Riders. Too many Manta Riders on the dance floor here. Oh, man. I could forest Tiki Caretaker here onto my Salamander, and then place the Yakkapult here to shoot this. Because if this comes down and double collects, I can shoot that as well. One, two, clear. Maybe I play Tiki Caretaker here, actually. To block. And then just buff the... Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm on board with that. Actually take a mountain here as well. So we're making our Salamander more sturdy, so it can at least challenge the Manta Rider and the little Manta at the top there. And we've also got this block here from a Flash Wind combo, or like a mobility trick. Because if I wanted to play the Catapult here to start sniping this position, because I should get some good value with these two cards roaming in this area. So I've put the Tiki Caretaker here as a way to block a mobility trick, or at least force another answer. So if this comes in this position and clears my 1/1, it's in line to get hit by my Yakkapult. This moving down into this position is pretty dangerous as well, because obviously my Yakkapult can hit it there. This line of sight going up this way isn't that great. It's in a bit of an awkward position, but the whole point of the Yakkapult right now is to cover this line here. So that's the Yakkapult's job. Humbling Visions, very interesting. I hope I pick up a Ground Shaker. Oh, okay. So Emperor's Command on the Yakkapult. This works out great for me because I can just repower it up now. Unfortunately, I can't escape the wrath of the Manta Rider. But I can put the Caretaker. This Manta Rider's in a pretty scary position. No Elderwood Embrace, even better, because now. Jeez. And so if a Yak spawns here, I feel like I'm in a really, really good position. I want to take a draw, but what am I looking for? I think maybe just +1 Caretaker Elderwood on this. Let's just start sniping. Or maybe we Caretaker this, shoot, and then Elderwood. No, it still dies to the Manta Rider. That doesn't change. Okay, we're going to take a draw. Draw seems fine. More power-ups here. Okay. I want to leave this here. I think it's Caretaker. Caretaker's pretty good because I can challenge both of these with the Caretaker. So let's just do that. Don't like the position in there. But that's fine. Because if this lives, I get to power it up and finish off the Manta. So let's say for argument's sake a Soul Drain comes down on this, the Manta swoops in, takes this out, and then the 2/2's left over. I can use a power up on this little Yak, finish off the Manta, and then we still have this Manta Rider. To be fair, like I feel that if I can get through the next couple of turns and just clear out the remains of the Manta Riders, I'm in a very good position to win this game because most of the creatures from then on are not going to have the durability that Manta Rider provides for this deck. And we've started to see blue, so there's no indication to me that we're going to see Windborn Champions. We're probably going to see stuff like Toe Ship. Maybe even Wave Crash Colossus, which could be a little difficult for me to handle. But these are the biggest threats in the early game, at least. These Manta Riders, and I feel like currently I'm in a position where I'm handling them quite well, and I'm hoping that can continue that continues to go on, and I can go into the late game and be in a very strong position. The clock is ticking. Emperor's Command. Had the option to Emperor's Command my Yakkapult there. Okay. Going for a board control line. I like that. Wow, okay, we have a bit. This could. Okay, we need to pray to R and Jesus right now. You know, I'm just gonna do it, and then and if it works out, I'll be very happy. No. Okay, so I wanted my Yak to spawn here, because my Yak spawned here. I could +1 into Salamander and power up this Yak at the same time. Now, I don't feel like I want to use my last Salamander just yet. I think this card could really help me out later on. So what is the line here? I mean, I can just eliminate collection altogether. Maybe I have to do it. I mean, I do set up a good... I do just clear the board. It's a little unfortunate. I can put this in double collection as well, which is pretty fantastic, actually. So I set up a double collector here, and I have a collector on the right hand side as well. But like I said, if the Yak had spawned in this position, it would have been fantastic. I could have got a great power up on this, but it didn't happen. Sad times. I do have a lot of power ups in hand, so I'm in a pretty good position, I think. Soul Drain. Okay. Into a Colossus. This is what I'm expecting. Wave Crash Colossus. Yes, okay. Double Colossus. Okay, things are starting to look a little terrifying now. Yeah. Yakkapult on this position. Double power up. Not quite enough. I need another power up, really. And this moves here and clears. I'm in a bad position. I might just have to let 14 damage happen. I don't see a way that I don't let that happen. I could protect this Yakkapult by moving this Yakkapult here. Because if there was a flash wind, I'd be in a bit of trouble. So yeah, let's move this here. I do need another power up. I know that's for certain, so I should take a draw. I should have done this first, of course, but this is a tough one. Double Colossus. I was expecting one. I wasn't expecting both. Not taking the 14 damage. That works just fine for me. I can double power up the Yakkapult, and then the Yakkapult plus Grand Shaker will be enough to kill the other Colossus. My biggest problem is another Colossus. If another Colossus comes down, which I think is going to happen by the looks of things, it's not looking good, is it? A Toe Ship. So Toe Ship's still lethal, actually. So I need a double power up and play a creature, the Bone Collector. Yeah, I think I have enough to do that. So double power up here, shoot this guy. It's going to spawn a yak here or here, then Bone Collector and cross my fingers. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 Faeria. That's exactly all my Faeria. So I can take a draw. Doesn't change anything. I could heal? No. If I had 9 Faeria, I could ground shake. I could ground shaker potentially, depending on where the yak goes. It's a bit too much. Let's just go for this. This is my only heal. It's a little unfortunate, but you know, we're praying that this little Bone Collector does not die. Optimistic, very optimistic. It needs 1 damage for lethal as well. So campfire would be enough here. Like removal campfire would be enough. But I don't think that can happen. No, I feel like we're in a pretty good position now. Because I'm blocking that 5 damage for going to orb. And then obviously the Yakkapult's still an issue. So depending on what clears. So if this clears this and takes my 7 here, I can ground shaker, double collect, +1 ground shaker, finish this off, potentially spawn a yak here anyway. Right? So I should be okay. No, because this will just move down. Very difficult. Very difficult. Let's see what I draw. I need to draw something pretty fantastic. I'd need to draw like another Deepwood Stalker. Oh, the move is really smart. Because it makes clearing this much more difficult. It means I have to develop land. I like the move there. The move is pretty good. Oh, I got the Soul Drain. Okay. So I'm still 1 off lethal at least. So I can kill this. Ah, very, very clever. I like that. Very clever use of mobility there. Okay, so yeah, it looks like it might just be game here. Let's take a draw. Sight for the Blood Tyrant, not going to be enough. So I can shoot this. But I do die at the hands of... I do die at the hands of the Colossus. Double Colossus a little too much for me going forward there. And yeah, like I said, I curse it every time. I say everything's going fine, everything's going great, and then I lose the game. And my opponent is taking a while, so I was just about to surrender there. But yeah, GG's. So 3-1 so far. 1 final game to see how this episode goes. Let's cross our fingers and hope it's a win. Final match of this episode. This deck looks fantastic. I hope you guys give it a try. A lot of fun. I mulliganed everything to look for a Bone Collector or a Recurring Reveler. I was blessed with a Bone Collector, and we are going to play against Rush again. Pretty good, especially with the Bone Collector. Got the Elderwood Embrace in hand as a way to answer some early threats. So if double neutral Mace Man came down, I'd have a fantastic answer to that. Double neutral Queen's Guard, on the other hand, is a little more difficult. So we're playing against Red Rush, but I just drew 2 power-ups, so I probably just won this game. Yeah, we'll just go for a pre-hit here. And then we'll finish this off on the follow-up, because there's no Gift of Steel. Yep, gonna eat that. And pass. So we go for a mountain on this side. Finish this off. Go up to a 6/6. Pretty good. 6/6 creature. Just sitting in the wings. Double Flame Burst. Double Flame Burst into an Axe Grinder. Into a Brigand. Okay. Go for our last mountain. Can we afford to leave this up? The answer is probably no. The problem is if a Gift of Steel comes down and then my Tiki Caretaker gets cleared, it's going to be really bad. Really bad. If it doesn't come down, I could be in a better position next to him with a Salamander. Let's risk it, guys. Let's hope this little Tiki lives to tell the tale. We've seen double Flame Burst. Gift of Steel is pretty much the biggest problem. Didn't have a Gift of Steel. I'm happy with that. That's good for us. And we can go into the Salamander on the follow-up now and finish off this Grimguard. Excellent. Everything is working out just fine. Boom, boom. And I'll take a mountain here, actually. I want to get a mountain on this side. Yeah, we'll take a forest. Well, we'll line up Cypher. Cypher is going to be a big problem. Now we've seen double Flame Burst go from the hand. So just taking the Faeria. The last Flame Burst? Axe Grinder. Axe Grinder. Okay. What a top deck. Oh my goodness. That's so good. So good. Oh my. I was thinking, and all I need is a Ground Shaker. And it happened. Let's clear this before it gets any more value. Now, Ground Shaker for my opponent is pretty fantastic. Probably going to see a Ground Shaker. Cypher's Wrath. Into Axe Grinder. So we're a little low, but double Flame Burst has been used. I'm gonna have to keep drawing at this point because I need to find that healing. Okay, how am I gonna do this? No, there's not a way I can get Bone Collector value outside of like here. But I think I'll just go for the Willow on the follow-up instead. No, actually I will go for the Bone Collector because I want to play the Willow into a creature ideally. So if a creature was to come down, I can just go Willow and be pretty happy. Now I'm vulnerable to Cypher's Wrath, Flame Burst, but I've already seen 2 Flame Bursts and a Cypher's Wrath. It's like, I'd be a bit disappointed if we saw another one. Too good to me, game. You are too good to me. Let's eat this up. Yeah, so making it much harder to Cypher's Wrath now. We need to draw cards. We need to ideally just keep drawing cards. Especially now. I need to find that that healing. Yep, I guess we just draw. No heals. Feels bad. Oof. 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 This is not looking good, is it? This is not looking good. I just need... It's just 3 damage. Is it the last Flame Burst in hand? Did he draw all his Flame Bursts? Okay. That game was a little disappointing. I know, I played quite fast. I played quite hectic. It felt like a hectic match to me. But yeah, that is going to conclude this episode. That wraps up this episode of Become a God. A little unfortunate there at the end, but I did say during the episode, Flame Burst is the best card in the game. There is a perfect example why. Absolutely murdered me. Triple Flame Burst, not a lot I can do about that. But overall, I felt the deck was really, not only really fun, but felt really good as well. It did pretty well across a few matchups. So I'm pretty impressed with this build from Donpork. Well done. Made a fantastic deck, a lot of fun to play, and it feels very competitive. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, drop a subscribe to keep up to date of when our content goes live. Be sure to enter some of these tournaments. If you're interested in competitive Faeria, you should keep an eye on our Discord channel. If you look at the announcements and the community announcements at the top of the Discord, you can find access to the brackets and how to sign up for these events. And a lot of my decks come from tournaments. I look at tournament lists that have been posted up on the hub, like the Hex Templar tournament and the Open tournaments. We recently just had the Ruunin Open too. And then I take decks that look interesting from there, and then I start to play them and become a god. So maybe you guys could participate in a competitive event, get those decks on the hub, and I'll take a look. I'll go, that deck looks really cool, let's feature it on an episode. So that's a great way to get me to play decks that you play, do well in some tournaments, you know, get your name out there, get your decks out there, and yeah, you might see them on Become a God. So until next time, guys, take care and enjoy Donpork's green-red Yakkapult Swarm.